All right, just making sure we're all good and are live. All right. Okay, guys. I'm laughing because it's really sad, the state that we're in right now. I'm laughing because I actually expected the Democrats to be stupid enough to pick Kamala Harris. As you all know, of course, by now, Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris as VP. The reason this isn't surprising is, one, there was a leaked article that showed her as the winner, and then they were trying to like backtrack from that to kind of surprise people. But I thought the Democrats would be stupid enough to pick Harris as the VP because she literally represents everything that people in this movement of standing up to police brutality and standing up for Black lives is fighting against. I mean, like it's not a joke. She is a cop. I mean, she was a former prosecutor. Numerous times last year, myself, the Convo Couch, and several other indie media would talk about her record. Her record is abysmal. I mean, when she was prosecutor, she pushed for a civil forfeiture. She pushed the truancy laws that jailed parents who didn't have or were too busy working and didn't have enough control of their kids. She made them out to be criminals. She persecuted people who had marijuana convictions and ensured that they got the full extent of the law, even though that's the complete opposite of what we should be doing. She also pushed against people getting off of sentences that were either too severe or being let out of prison because there was now evidence that they did not commit those crimes. She pushed for 3 strikes policies. She had a very Republican tenure as a prosecutor, and she did all these things, and then they're all out there for people to see. But she is the senator of California. I mean, I know who she is. I mean, during the housing crisis, people severely opposed her as well because she takes that in real estate investor money. She takes that police money. She refused to prosecute Steve Mnuchin. She fought for the death penalty. I mean, I could go on and on about her record, and in a separate video, we will outline more of her record because we've already done it. And it's hilarious because she lost so quickly in the primary because she was just such a terrible candidate. And she was found to be a hypocrite. She was just like the Hillary Clinton. Oh yeah, I smoked marijuana, and then I turned around and was prosecuting and jailing people for it. So she has that stance. And I just thought the Democrats would be stupid enough to really pick somebody like that because they're leading with identity politics. They're leading with, oh, she's a woman of color. Oh, she's a senator, so she's well known. This is what these people talk about. These consultants that get paid all kinds of money to tell politicians, oh yeah, this is our strategy. This is what the people want. They want a strong woman that's going to be like the feminist, the ultimate feminist with Joe Biden. Even though Kamala represents establishment neoliberal latte feminism. Like she literally represents that class of feminists that love symbolic platitudes but have absolutely zero policies lining to help women and people of color. And that's just a given. That's who she is. And so of course, what perfect fit. Then the little girl who cried about Joe Biden being a segregationist and accused him of being a racist, then turns around and endorses him and then of course becomes his VP nominee. I just so you guys know now, this is all theatrics, the debates, all of this. These politicians are more actors than they are politicians. Maybe that's why I can tell that they're all really shitty actors, because you can just tell how awful they are. And they're playing games and playing political football with American people's lives. And I'm just so done with that shit. I am just so done with people trying to move the goalposts, right? Because before it's like, well, I hope we can get a progressive VP because maybe then we will push and hold Biden accountable and we will put their feet on the fire or whatever the hell that people say. And I'm just like, what the hell does that even mean? You guys don't even know what that means. You're just saying that because somebody told you to say it or you heard it somewhere. You're repeating these slogans without realizing, no, you're not going to put any of their feet to the fire because guess what, you guys, you're still voting for Joe Biden. This is why it's pointless to stay in the Democratic Party because they're going to continue doing that. You didn't want Kamala Harris as VP. They didn't care. And you couldn't do anything about it because you have no power. Joe Biden chose one of the most corrupt people to be his vice president. And people want to come here and be surprised that he did that. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We've been telling you for months that the Democratic Party isn't going to listen to you because they have no reason to. You're already giving away all of your power. And no matter what they do, you're saying, I'm gonna vote for you so we can get rid of Trump, as if Trump is the reason for all of this. He's not. I hate to break it to you. Trump is a symptom of the problem. And people like Joe Biden are the architects of that system that Trump is exploiting to the nth degree. And that's why it's so stupid to like go after this tiny hole in this raft that we have and try to patch it up when there's a giant hole at the bottom. That's how the water is getting in, and you're not going to save yourself unless you realize that you need to like attack the whole problem and not just the little hole in there, which is Trump. Trump, again, is a result of years of not paying attention to shit that matters. It's a result of people falling asleep under the Obama administration. It is a result of people not holding people like Bill Clinton accountable. It's a result of classic late stage capitalism that we're in right now. And there is no two ways about it. Kamala Harris is the example, the blatant disregard of politicians on the working people. Flat out. That's all she is. She's just there to freaking show you guys, hey, I'm a woman of color and I'm a woman. And guess what? She's likely going to be president because if Joe Biden has anything going for him, it's the fact that he's not going to be president for very long. I mean, we all know this. And Joe Biden, basically, his VP, he even said, I'm going to pick someone that is ready to be president on day one. We know that Joe Biden's VP is going to be likely in some presidential, either they're going to be president or they're going to be like in between while we get a new president. And that's what Kamala's auditioning for. More than VP, she's auditioning for president. Now, let me get to the point that I'm trying to make here is that, and I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I just can't, like, the woman who accused Joe Biden of being a racist segregationist became a cop, prosecutor, and is now the VP with one of the worst candidates we've ever had, while people are out there fighting against the very same policies that people like Kamala and Biden built. He wrote the crime bill. She exploited the crime bill. It works in these ways. And that is who we have running for president and VP against Donald Trump, the narcissist in chief, who is also an accused rapist, who is also corrupt, who is so self-absorbed and has done nothing for the American people, with his VP, who's a Christian fundamentalist. I mean, I honestly, if I was writing, I couldn't write it any funnier. Like, this is like a joke. I feel like we are in a timeline that's a joke, and the writers fucked it up, and now they don't know how to end it. And that's where we're at. And I'm not trying to be like nihilistic, but I am saying the truth, and that is the truth. And just so you guys know, because the establishment, of course, is out there saying, oh my God, this is such a great outcome. I'm so happy Kamala got picked. It's so great. Joe Biden just cemented his win against Donald Trump. No, you fucking morons. They literally just handed Trump the election. Do you not realize that? You are being so hypocritical. Democrats, and I think they're doing this on purpose now. Like, I mean, this is just too stupid to be not on purpose. Like, you're propping up a woman who has jailed people, who is literally a cop while people are rebelling against the establishment and against police, against criminal injustice. You are literally putting the representative that stands against that at the helm. And you think Donald Trump isn't going to come and attack you from the left? He already issued an executive order. Sure, it's weak as hell and it doesn't do much, but he took action because the Democrats and the Republicans in the Congress can't get their shit together. So guess what? He looks good to a lot of people because he's at least taking action. This is how people are seeing it, not necessarily how I see it. I know Donald Trump's a weak proposal is bullshit, but the vast majority of Americans are going to look at that and see action versus inaction in Congress. The vast majority of Americans are going to look at what Trump's done and during the coronavirus and say, yeah, it's pretty bad, but like, look at what Democrats are doing. They're not doing anything. They're supposed to be the party of the people. And now we have Joe Biden. He can't even like complete sentences. And he chose Kamala Harris as VP. I mean, she's just like another Hillary Clinton, a typical neoliberal Democrat, like liberal, they're going to say. Like, it's you, people who think that Joe Biden has this in the bag, and that Kamala is a good thing as a pick, literally live in an echo chamber. You live in a bubble where everybody who you watch, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, CNN, and all your friends and your neoliberal cocoon all only agree with you. That's all. They only look at the establishment narrative. They agree with you. You live in a little bubble. That's those people that think that this is a good thing. People who see what's really happening and who have lived in the middle of America, who have lived in the South, who have friends and family in these places, who have to look at things more nationally, globally as well. Trust me, this is not a good thing. This literally makes it so Donald Trump, where he was here, he's now rising over here, and it's going to be a tight race. But I believe that Trump's going to win just because of this. I genuinely do. You have vastly angered people to the point where they might vote for Trump just to spite the Democratic Party. Because it comes to a point where Democrats are they still think there's a chance. And not just Democrats, but progressives. Feudally. Like, it's so futile to be in this party and try to save it. Like, I value what people do on a local level, but even on the local level, it's just a bunch of corrupt people telling you to wait your turn. I've experienced that myself. I mean, I've seen it too. But we don't have time for incrementalism. Our planet is dying. We will not survive under these current conditions. And incremental change, like a public option or COBRA or all of this other bullshit, like by 2050, Joe Biden promises to cut carbon emissions by 35%. Like, no, we don't have time for that. So I don't understand in what world these people live in. And you know, I just come to the conclusion that they live in a fictitious world where they're trying to grasp hold of these falling marbles of buildings that is the American empire that is literally falling apart before our eyes. We are no longer the top, one of the even few top countries in the world for longevity, for happiness, for work. We are literally falling, and it's nobody's fault but our own. We got the president we deserve. Joe Biden and Donald Trump are completely representative of what's wrong with society. You got the corrupt politicians that are elites and think that by saying Black Lives Matter and then turning around and pushing like pro-cop policies behind your backs, that's going to fix the system. And then we have Donald Trump, the narcissistic, self-absorbed reality TV star. I mean, hello, do you know how many Americans watch reality television? Do you know how many Americans know more about The Bachelor than they do about their own senators, their own Congress people? I mean, we got the president we deserved. We truly didn't deserve better. And it's just unfortunate because even Bernie Sanders now, is saying stupid things like Kamala Harris, it represents working people, like, and represents the fight for justice. Are you fucking kidding me, Bernie? Like, everybody who's watching this on Facebook probably knows, like, I was a huge Bernie supporter, and I will always be thankful to Bernie, but I'm going to call him out when he's wrong, and he's wrong here. Pretending that Kamala Harris is progressive. It is about as hypocritical and ignorant as it gets. Everybody knows her record, even though California tried to hide her record. By the way, they tried to hide it. It's all out there for people to see. A lot of us are going to be pushing it out. So you know that putting in more cops and more architects of the system to beat Trump isn't going to beat him. It's just going to kick it down the road so we get a next worst Trump down the line. Now, obviously, I'm not advocating for people to vote for Donald Trump either, but I think people just live in this box where it's either or. Obviously, Joe Biden or Donald Trump are going to be president in November unless something happens where, I don't know, something unprecedented happens, right? The chances are about like 99% that one of them is going to be president. Nobody's going to come save us. Let's stop pretending that Bernie is going to come save us when he is clearly working to get Biden elected. Let's get that fantasy out of our minds. We have to be realistic, and we have to really start understanding that the power that we've lost starts with not just our vote, but our actions. We have the opportunity to take direct actions outside of this mechanism. And we need to do that. I haven't seen enough people out there protesting against the inaction of Congress, demanding more from Donald Trump. I haven't seen enough people go out there. I want to see more on rent cancellations. I want to see more people marching for Medicare for all. These are the things we need to do because that's where our power is at. Our power isn't in the electorate right now because honestly, you guys, I don't know if you watched my show, but we hold our electeds accountable. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're going to go in there and promote imperialism, like some of the members of the squad are doing, I'm going to call you out because there's no separation between our foreign policy and domestic policy because they use the excuse of the money that we give our military to literally deny us Medicare for all, to deny us college for all, debt-free college, loan forgiveness, to deny us simple things like a cancellation of rent. We don't have money for that. We have too much money we spend here. Like, there is no separation, and not enough of us are realizing the mechanisms and the global issues that tie everything together. And that's why I do what I do. But ultimately, Kamala Harris is representative of this system. It is just perpetuating it into a nicer, female, prettier face that represents the ugliness of the neoliberal establishment. And, you know, the reason I find it funny is because it is absolutely, if I were an establishment consultant and I was advising Biden on who to pick, it would not be Kamala Harris. It would have been a more progressive person. Obviously, as you guys know, my sentiment, I don't think it matters who he picks because the same people are going to be in charge. And, you know, I posted that on Facebook and some of my friends disagree with me. But look what you thought you were going to get somebody better? No, they don't listen to you. They have no reason to listen to you. You have no power. They have all the power. They refuse to put our things like Medicare for all on the platform because they don't care, because they don't need you. They are under the idea that they don't need you because they rig our elections left and right and they choose who they want. Both in the last two primaries in 2016 and 2020, yeah, they rigged it against Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders in 2020 also had a plethora of other issues that also come from the establishment being entirely corrupt and progressives not being astute enough to push back against it. We need to be proactive, not reactive. We need to like call things out and start talking about them before they happen, before it gets to the point, before a pandemic. And I hope people now realize that there is no path with the Democratic Party because they're going to turn around and move the goalposts and say, well, at least maybe if we vote for Biden, maybe Bernie will get a great cabinet position. Really? And so now we're begging for scraps, Bernie to get a great cabinet position where his hands are tied? Like, you're still trying to work within a system that is falling apart. It's just not going to work. And I've lost my patience with trying to explain this to people who still want to believe that somehow a Democrat in office is going to stop the murder of Black and brown people in local communities, that it's going to stop the evictions that are about to begin as soon as these moratoriums end, that are going to stop the death of people who can't afford their insulin because it's too expensive, and nobody cares about that, and so they're not getting treated. And also we have a pandemic, and also we're like one of the only countries without Medicare for all, and also we have a climate crisis, and there's still people like Biden are trying to make it like they have a wonderful climate proposal, and they're still taking that money. So no, like don't make it out to be like there's a chance like things are gonna get better because some politician, whoever they may be, is gonna come in there and change everything. No, that's not gonna happen. It's also not gonna make people fight harder to have a Democrat in there, because unfortunately a lot of people in this fucking country don't pay attention and have listened to the propaganda that they've been filled with, which says, oh, if we get rid of Trump, everything will be okay, and they're gonna go back to freaking tuning politics out. And we can't afford that. We can't afford that. I mean, I just think the solution isn't electoral politics at this point right now. It's not working for us, and that's not the only way to enact change. A lot of the ways we enact change is outside in the streets, protesting, demanding, going to politicians' houses. People have criticized people for going to politicians' houses. They're public servants. They're public officials. They are meant to respond to the public. It's really not crazy to think that. And I'm just laughing because the establishment thinks this is wonderful and Joe Biden's going to totally win. They are so out of touch, so do not have the pulse of the people. And I'm sorry, they're wrong. They're wrong. This is going to end up going horrible for the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party can't be saved. I advise people to start building outside of the Democratic Party, if you haven't already done so, to protest outside and to show the Democratic establishment, if you are so willing, that I'm sorry, I don't like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I'm protesting them as candidates. Something, because right now we have the opportunity to do that. During a crisis is when people sometimes come together, and through that anger and that passion, you build solidarity, and through that you are stronger and able to tackle the system. Because right now there's going to be a lot of people with little left to lose, and when you have people like that, they're going to be ready and willing to take on years of oppression. Twice we have seen the wealth go from the 1% go from the bottom to the 1%. We have billionaires making profits off of coronavirus. People like Nancy Pelosi and her husband have made a lot of money out of coronavirus. Yet I don't see the opposition that I pushed for, that I helped elect in Congress. I'm not seeing the opposition to Nancy Pelosi. I'm seeing the opposition to Republicans. Sure, Republicans aren't the ones ruining California right now. The ones ruining California right now are people like Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, those people, not Adam Schiff, people like that. Like, we have some of the most corrupt politicians here in the state of California, and we're a democratic state. We're supposed to be the beacon of progressivism, and I watch these Democratic establishment pieces of shit cheat and lie and gaslight all of the progressives around here. So don't tell me, somebody that lives in a democratic state, the 5th largest economy, one of the most powerful states in the United States, that voting for a Democrat is going to solve our problems, because clearly California has the largest homeless population, a rent and housing crisis, and they don't give a shit. In fact, they make it worse, and they take our money and they invest it with real estate developers. They take oil money. We have oil rigs right outside of here. People can't breathe. The air is polluted. So don't tell me that voting for a Democrat is going to make anything better, when people have voted for Democrats for decades in California and it hasn't made anything better. So I just want to leave everybody with that. And again, Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris as VP is possibly one of the worst things he could have done. People wanted to say Susan Rice was a worst pick. Susan Rice, nobody really knows who she is. Kamala Harris, people know who she is and they have an opinion, and it's not a good opinion. And so the Kamala Harris as a VP for Joe, Trump's going to come in, attack him from the left, attack her also from the left, show their hypocrisy, and that's it. Americans are just going to love Trump calling out Joe Biden, because guess what? If anything, people are just done with typical politicians, and people are still under the assumption that Trump isn't a typical politician because he doesn't behave as one. Behind the scenes, though, pretty much very little difference between the right and the left. So fight against that narrative. You know, if you don't like this, if you don't like that Kamala was picked, you know, think about the fact that it doesn't matter if it's Kamala or somebody else. We have to go after the same system where we have no representation anymore. It doesn't matter what progressives wanted. They weren't going to allow Medicare for all. They weren't going to allow those things. So we can't accept that. Voting for Joe Biden is accepting that. It is accepting the abuse. And if you're voting for Joe Biden, you are further perpetuating what's going to inevitably happen, which is the fall of the Democratic Party and the loss of Democrats to fascist, right? We have the fascist right and the crypto-fascist Democrats. So whatever, pick your fascists. But in my opinion, voting for Biden or Trump is perpetuating the oligarchy. It's perpetuating the plutocracy. It is the system that needs to collapse, and it's collapsing. And instead of focusing on that, you could focus locally, building movements, and building together, working with each other. We have so many great progressives here that need to organize, and there are many other parties to be built that need help, that aren't organized. I'm sorry, they don't have their shit together, like the Green Party. And I would like to see more of progressives focus on building outside cadres. Shama Sawant is a great example. It can be done. Just not enough people focus on it because they're too scared and they're ruled by fear. So let's not keep doing that, you guys. And so we're going to have a lot of great shows this week. We are also traveling to Florida for the race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Jan Perlman. We will be talking to some of our Florida peeps there. So make sure to tune in this week. So thanks, guys. I will read your comments when I see them. And Convo out. Bye.